pay on average $650 per unit for a total of just under $13,000 will be saved via the education taxes. And each unit is around $2,100 a year in taxation. So this administration recommendation is that council consider the following motion. The council directs administration to bring forward a bylaw to reinstate the municipal proportion of the property tax of the affordable housing units within Blackfalds. And with that, I'll open up for any questions.
I see no questions, but I do have some comments on this. I feel like I have some unique insight on this, being chair for the Lacombe Foundation, just for everyone's benefit on council. This discussion did not come yet to the board of the Lacombe Foundation. It may still, but it hasn't. So anything that's come from the Lacombe Foundation was from administration. I would assume that that's appealing to anybody at an organization. Say if they could get say $50,000 on their annual budget, then that would be appealing. So it's important to emphasize the fact that the board itself didn't direct that decision. This particular housing board, as most of you are aware, is representation from the municipalities that fall within that region, and that's not always the case for these housing bodies. Many of them are, if they're in larger centers, those housing bodies are represented by members of the public, members of the industry, so their perspective might be a little different. And of course, you know, fiduciary responsibility to the Lacombe Foundation. If this does come to the Lacombe Foundation, and we look at it from their perspective, you know, when I'm wearing my board of directors hat, this looks appealing. You know, having the additional funds to manage that. But, coming from a municipality, I'm confident that the Lacombe Foundation has managed those affordable houses well. They managed the rates. They were increased about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and they're still well below market value and well below what the federal government defines as affordable. So when different developments apply for affordable units, the below market value that qualifies them for that is significantly higher than the Lacombe Foundation charges for these units. Their occupancy is completely full, and they have been for some time. So I don't know that there's an issue with rents, keeping people out of them. And the threshold for income is modest with those. Now I think if we were struggling, there's a small wait list to those. Keep that in mind. There's always going to be a wait list for affordable housing. From the Lacombe Foundation's perspective, as I said, they want the same. From our perspective, I feel like this is another download from the province. They're making a decision that they did not consult the housing bodies that I'm aware of, and they came to the board. Whether or not this is something they wanted, certainly there's some other housing bodies that are struggling with their affordable units. As well, I think everyone also knows that this is not something that is supported by the town of Blackfalds directly through requisitions. The lodge is requisitions, so we support our affordable seniors housing specifically through requisition, not the affordable housing that's basically self-funded. And this, I feel like this would be asking the municipality to subsidize it further when affordable housing is a provincial responsibility. I do want to express some frustration and disappointment that the province has really given this as another download on municipalities in terms of costs. I'm not in favor of this. I'm not particularly impressed with this ministry. The ministry has at one point indicated that they were happy to meet with the town of Blackfalds, and they have not, this particular minister. So I am disappointed that even recently we had a virtual meeting scheduled with the minister, and he was not in attendance, which is quite disappointing, since it was my impression when he was appointed that he would be available for the town to discuss our needs. Housing needs are not, affordable housing needs are not met at the level they should be in our community. And the town of Blackfalds, I think, our administration and as councils make decisions to support affordable housing through private developments, and unfortunately that's the means that we have, and that we have mandate for. Affordable housing is a provincial mandate, and they are not meeting their requirements, unfortunately. And I think the town will continue to advocate for that, but I don't think the town and our taxpayers should directly be subsidizing any more than we are. We are already being requisitioned for seniors housing, and that is something that should be the province's responsibility. So that is my soapbox on this, but again, I hope that our provincial counterparts will hear the message loud and clear that affordable housing, in particular seniors' affordable housing needs, are not being met in our region adequately. And the town of Blackfalds is not in a position to further enable that shortcoming. So I am not in favor of this. I believe that the foundation has done its job to make sure that these rents support the housing, or the affordable housing units, and I think that there is room to increase if need be for the future needs for that. Councillors, yes.
I'd also like to see what the other municipalities that belong to the Home Foundation, what their stand on this is too. Because it's a whole group.
Yeah, I did call it. I didn't put it in. It's still so new on people's radar. I did call a few, and they had no direction from council, no direction from administration. So,
Thank you.
Councillor Scott.
To the Adjournment director, the rest of your time, I just want to thank you for bringing the dollar value to us, because at our budget workshop we didn't have the dollar value, but it's nice to see how much we would be taking from our taxpayers if we and as our community continues to grow and as we get more affordable housing units in our community, that number will get bigger. So I think that it is very smart for our council to be looking forward to taking a bylaw for this, and we're taking a giant leap, but we're also making it our first step. So I'm looking forward to the bylaw coming back to us.
Councillor Crowe.
Thank you. I agree with what you said, Mayor Luber, about this being a provincial responsibility. I think if the information comes forward from the Home Foundation and Bethany Group is that they planned on taking the savings and increasing the number of units in our community, that's a different story. That's a good news story that we can then pass along. The way that this is now, I'm in favor of the recommendation of us creating a bylaw to reinstate the taxation.
And I can answer somewhat that question as to whether there's a plan for further affordable housing. There is nothing. The two main priorities for the housing body are the large redevelopment, which is much higher priority than affordable housing because it can't be met by private developers. The second priority would be the possibility of affordable seniors housing in Blackfalds, and neither one have gained any feasible traction with the province. So again, as I mentioned before, it's not our needs are not being met well with the province. And I think that, as I said, the town of Blackfalds, we're fortunate. I think we've got some developers that are applying for some funding to try and bring some more affordable units to our community. That's not the case for many others. In terms of what other communities are considering, I can ensure that this will come to the Local Foundation at its next meeting, just to get some of the input from those other municipalities, because this is within the Local Foundation of that. Anecdotally, the mid-sized mirrors caucus, which met last week, 2 weeks ago now, sorry, this came up as a very brief discussion, and this was new information for every single mayor that was in that caucus, and they weren't aware of what was going on. So maybe just point of clarification, will this be something that's a one and done, or is it something that we would have to do annually?
I would say the first initial bylaw will be in place before the property tax rate bylaw in April. I was thinking we can consolidate it in the yearly we have them, a statement within the property tax rate bylaw excluding them. I'll have to double check, making sure, but I think it's going to be one and done if council wants to, until you make a bylaw to remove the bylaw, if I'm correctly. If not, we can incorporate it into the annual property tax rate bylaw as well. So there's two mechanisms there. I'm not sure which one we'll go with, but initially it will be a standalone bylaw.
Thank you. Well, I think, just the sense I get, although I am opposed to it at this point in time, clearly I'm also interested to know what other municipalities, what the housing body board of directors decides, so that if in the future we determine that this might be a benefit to do that, we can make that change. So
For sure.
clearly, if the motion moves forward that this comes back in a bylaw, then we'll know at that point. There'll be time, I would assume, between that for the board of directors from Home Foundation to meet and that bylaw. Yeah, I said more than I need to just to bring this item as a bylaw, but I think it's important for everybody to understand how much effort has been put into affordable housing and seniors housing in this district and how little response is really back from the province on that. That said, there is a recommendation or a possibility that this is coming back if there's direction. I would highly support this coming back myself. Councilor Coulter.
I'll move, I'll move the council directs administration to bring forward a bylaw to reinstate the municipality portion of the property tax on affordable housing units within Blackfalds.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, Deputy Mayor Sands, I haven't been watching the screen. If you don't give you any opportunity, you're good. Okay, so I will call the question. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. And that brings us to item 6.3, the Central Alberta BMX Supercross track proposal.
Thank you, Worship and Council. We last discussed this proposed BMX Supercross track at the July 15th standing committee meeting. At that meeting, there was some discussion about concerns related to parking with the addition of this type of facility at Sterling Industries Sports Park. Since that time, the Central Alberta BMX Supercross group has revised their design to include showing a parking lot just southeast of their proposed facility, and this would accommodate all the regular users on a regular night. The budget for this parking lot was placed in the 2028 budget, capital budget, for $200,000 as a placeholder, should that additional parking be required. So this would be a unique opportunity provided to our residents that is expected to bring in significant sports tourism spending and fall in line with strategic priority 2, which is economy, plan, support, invest, and build tourism efforts to grow Blackfalds as an attractive destination for visitors and residents. So with that, I will open to questions, and there's a motion as well.
Thank you. Some comments, Director. Councilor Dennis.
I do have concerns with the overflow parking that's stated in here. Because all those sites, there's no sidewalks connecting to that. So that's going to be an additional cost for a safety factor. And we've noticed with Eagle Builders Center, people can't even walk from this parking lot over there. Like, I think that's, parking is a big issue for me.
Thank you. I think that's always a point of discussion. Everybody has, I know that we've added quite a bit to this in terms of parking, but it's always going to be a question and something that we'll always look at. I think my comment would be more just a reflection of a similar event that we've held in Blackfalds for the last 2 years, which was at our Bike Skills Park, which I attended, not the first year, but I attended this year. It was a small event, but it was really interesting that a great many of the people that attended that were from Edmonton, Calgary, places like that. So it is clearly something that's drawing people hear the comments from people saying that they were impressed with the facility that we already had in town. So when I look at this, I can imagine, more people coming here to our community for the first time and really being impressed with the facility and hopefully seeing it grow. And I hope that it's ultimately so full that we have to consider parking elsewhere. Deputy Mayor Sands.
Thank you. I was wondering if anybody could see me, but I see you could. So, yeah, this project here kind of scares me a little bit. Like we talked about some of these capital overruns in the past, and seeing as how they're, we're already starting to plan this. We're already starting to earmark and allocate stuff, which is a good idea. It's kind of scary. I just don't want to find us in a position where a new council is going to be having to deal with something that were forced on them. I don't know if other councillors feel the same about this. I know it's a great idea. It will definitely bring the community together, for sure, and bring teams from all over the country. It's the cost that's could continue to come along and increase as we move forward in this project. Is what's kind of scaring me about it. So at this time, I'm not going to be voting in favor of this right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Kirkwood, can you, kind of small, but in zooming in, it doesn't look like to me that there's a total parking on this any different than it was initially. I see 137,
49 stalls.
So just for what we think is available for this facility, that's 342. Is that what we were saying is available entirely?
Yeah, at the presentation from the Supercross group, we mentioned 30 to 50 people per week. So in fact, we're supposed to 50 people.
I'm not sure that's the answer. I was sort of the total number of parking stalls that are available for this facility.
Oh, like across Sterling Industries?
Yeah. I know that the additional parking is just say 30 to 40, but it just
I believe it's 146 with our newly expanded sites, their parking area there. And then of course we have the high school, should there not be there as well. I think they've over 170 sites.
Okay. Councillor Swamp.
So right now, the only cost that we're taking on is just getting the land. And the parking would come in years if it's needed. Right?
That's correct.
Councillor Cole.
Through the chair to Director Which I was just curious, on the site there's that other sort of brown gray area that has what looks like vehicles in it. Is that some parking spots that have been taken away? Can you just zoom in on that? Do you know? Like it looks like there's 2 trucks parked there.
That's just to show the maneuverability of vehicles in parking.
Okay, because it doesn't really look like there's any parking stalls on that side, that's why I'm asking. Because that would be fenced up, right?
So all that area that's gray and shows basically the real live picture of the satellite image of the parking lot, that's existing right now. And then the dark parking lot.
Okay, and sorry, just second question here. This is new sidewalk that's coming through from the Abbey Center around, and then it has a cross the road sidewalk that runs in between those two, the future parking lot and the parking lot that's there now. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's not sidewalk, it's asphalt trail, but yeah, it does run between what would be, or right now it runs just to the west of our existing parking lot. And it would run, I guess, in the middle of the expanded parking and the potential new parking.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments? Back up to the. So we do have administration recommendation. Councillor Swab?
With the council direct administration to enter into an agreement with the Central Alberta BMX Supercross Group to allow for the construction of the BMX Supercross track at the proposed site at Sterling Industries.
Okay. Further discussion? Yes.
I think that this would be great for anything within our community and surrounding area, and I definitely fully support this. Just being able to see and hear the two youths that have spoken to us before, I think it just shows what this sport can do for our community, so I fully support this.
Okay. I guess my comment is similar to that. I think if we were taking on a capital cost with this immediately, I might be a little less inclined. But I think I appreciate that this planning allocated space to allow for that. Should there be a need for it? I've been at a number of events here, and when that facility is fully used, and there seems to be lots of parking, but I really would like to see how this pans out. And my personal less concern that I make a decision that could potentially cost council in the future. I think everything that we decide potentially has costs to council in the future, but I think the opportunity for this, as Councillor Swab, I agree, I think it's amazing what this could bring in terms of competitions for our community and a great rec facility for youth at no cost. That's it. Any other debate or discussion on that? Councillor Dennis?
I think the facility is a great plan and everything, but the location, like I said before, in the parking is my big concern.
Give your sense. Are you good, or you have any debate or discussion on this? Nothing. I call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is 2 opposed. And that's carried. Moving on to item 6.4, request for decision on Broadway Reservoir expansion for 2024 capital project request.
Your Worship Council. So as everybody remembers, the County of Lacombe approached the town in late 2022 to discuss the limits of existing water and sewer servicing in Masking industrial area. So this memo seeks to approve and move forward with the planned expansion to the existing Broadway Reservoir and pump house to accommodate this additional water supply needed for Dairy West innovations. Right now, the town's water supply system at the Broadway Reservoir as well as the East Reservoir is capable of handling the existing initial flows from Dairy West. However, we were looking at expanding the Broadway Reservoir in 2026. So with some cost sharing with the county, we're looking forward to moving this forward. When we did look at building this for 2026, we did recognize that there was a grant being able to be used if we could move this project forward to 2025 construction. So with that, we had originally brought forward a budget item of $6.8 million. Now that would be basically to build and design the Broadway Reservoir expansion. And with the grant, potentially we could get about 50% of that amount. So there is some information about the grant component and how we would apply and everything as part of this memo. But basically the Broadway Avenue Reservoir expansion would address the following strategic priorities. It would create an attractive environment for industrial and commercial growth. It would promote options for housing diversity. It would connect residents with services and services to residents. And the town would pursue provincial, county, and regional funding opportunities, relationships, and partnerships. So as I talked about before, the approximate cost would be $6.8 million, and that would be depending on detailed design, review of the existing facility assets, and scoping. The funds required for this project will be drawn out of reserves, with the county to pay their portion of about 41% of the costs. That would be after the grant is applied. Details of the payment of this payment would be outlined in the funding agreement between the town and county, similar to what we did for the sanitary funding agreement that was just completed here a little while ago. This agreement would of course be brought forward to council for endorsement. And then I'll just open up to questions, but there is 3 recommendations there. That council amend the 2024 capital budget to include these monies to start building the Broadway Avenue Water Reservoir Expansion Project. The council instructs us to negotiate with the county towards completing the project cost-sharing partnership agreement based off the memo ratios for water volumes at that 41% county contribution. And that council support the local growth and sustainability grant program grant application for the Broadway Reservoir Expansion Project, which we'll have to submit by November 29th of this year if council so wishes to move forward with that. With that, I'll open up to any questions.
Councilor Dennis.
Is this gonna cause any road closures?
No, it won't. So the existing Broadway Avenue Reservoir is on the corner of Aspen Lakes West and Broadway, and we do have land available to the north. There will be minor closures though as they move the construction in and out, but there won't be any major roadway closures of the roads. Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome. And I think the town thanks you too. The residents.
Councilor Bell.
Thank you. Not a question, just a comment. Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks for finding this potential grant and bringing it forward. It's saving us approximately $2 million by moving this up a year. I think that just fiscally makes sense. So with that, if no one else has any questions, I'm preparing to start making questions.
I just wanted to get clarification, and it's just more for clarification because we just looked at the quarter financials. So if I'm looking at this correct, the reserve has 12.8 million left
In different reserves.
in different reserves. Okay. And this would have come out in 2026. This would have been drawing on that. So do we anticipate if? Okay, a couple questions. We're including this in 2024, but is there likelihood that this will be actually 2025 by the time that we get approval on this?
Your Worship, the construction to meet the grant requirements has to start on September, I believe it's 25th of 2025.
Yeah.
So we'd have to start the program or the project before that, but it would go into like a construction and the like. So that is a requirement of the grant. But yeah, essentially what we would be doing is trying to get the design and everything ready to go so that we can get out the tender and get it awarded here before the summer season stops. So I guess
So
they'll start doing the work.
Overarching would be for administration whether or not this would, or how this impact our forecast in terms of interest revenue on this. If it goes forward. Nothing that we anticipate because it's not likely to come out until next year.
No.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I fully agree. This is something that we're doing early, but gaining a lot by doing so. Councillor Phil.
Thank you. I heard to move that council amended the 2024 capital budget to include the $6.8 million for the Broadway Avenue Water Reservoir Expansion project.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? moving on to 6.5. Oh, sorry. All right, yes, we do. We do have 3 motions for this one. So, someone, Councillor Swan.
I'll move that council instructs administration to negotiate with the county towards completing a project cost sharing partnership agreement based on the minimum ratios for water.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. One more motion recommended, Councillor Coulter.
I move that council supports the local growth and stability grant program grant application for the Broadway Reservoir expansion project.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? None. Call the question, all in favor? And that is unanimous, thank you. Now moving on to 6.5. Request for decision on council appointments to the NPC and member of our jury panel.
Thanks, Council. At the organizational meeting on October 22nd, council did make appointments to various committees. Since that time, we note that we do need to make some changes to the Municipal Planning Commission that Councillor Spaulding was appointed to. And we're also looking to appoint an alternate to the member-at-large review panel. So there are 3 motions that I would like council to consider. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
See none? Councillor Call?
Thank you. I move that council rescind resolution numbers 303/24 and 304/24.
Thank you. Debate, discussion? Seeing none, I call the question, all in favor? Thank you, that's unanimous. Councillor Spaulding?
I'll move that council appoint Mayor Hooper, Deputy Mayor Sands, Councillor Dennis, and Councillor Appel as alternate to the member at large review panel effective immediately and expiring October 20th, 2025.
Thank you. Debate, discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Third motion. Councillor Coulter?
I move that council approves Deputy Mayor Sands as chair, Councillor Dennis as vice chair, and Mayor Hoover as to the Municipal Planning Commission effective immediately expiring October 20th, 2025.
Thank you. Debate or discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous, thank you. And I will pass over the chair to Councillor Appel for this.
Thank you. Mayor Hoover has been appointed to the Economic Strategy Committee from the Alberta Municipalities. And as part of that, there needs to be an endorsement from council. There are no financial implications to the town of Blackfalds as costs are paid out of Alberta municipalities. There are 5 meetings that have been scheduled over the next year. One's December 5th, 2024, February 6th, 2025, April 17th, 2025, and September 18th, 2025. So the recommendation is that council endorse Mayor Jamie Hoover's appointment to the Alberta Municipalities Economic Strategy Committee.
Thank you, Sierra Isaac. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Entertain a motion. Thank you. Councilor Coulter.
buttons.
I move that council endorses Mayor Hoover's appointment to the Alberta Municipality Economic Strategy Committee.
Thank you. Any debate or questions? Seeing none, Brendan, all in favor? And that is unanimous and one abstained. And Mayor Hoover, you direct the chair.
Well, thank you, right to the end. We have no notice of motion. We do have two confidential items, so that will require council going into camera. So that ends the open session for the public. We will take a 5-minute recess at 7:42.